the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, Rich Hoffman here. I'm not normally one to spike the football, but every now and then, the primary election for the commissioner race in Butler County, Ohio, has Michael Ryan winning easily over the incumbent Cindy Carpenter. And that is important for a number of reasons. I'm very proud of Michael Ryan. And again, I have to say I endorsed him early. It's been a couple-year process. He has been a fantastic candidate. He's held himself up very well. And if we're talking about this, it's just a primary. You still have to win the general. In Butler County, the Democrats not going to have a chance at all of winning. So if you win the primary, you pretty much are going to win the election in the fall of 2026. So Michael Ryan looks like he's going to be the commissioner. And I know there's lots of good projects that he's working on that's going to immediately go into effect to start building up so that when he does get into office, he can hit the ground running and bring some great ideas to Butler County. There's a lot of things going on that's positive. But let's talk about justice. Cindy Carpenter, a couple of years ago, she's the incumbent. She got caught campaigning for Democrats in Middletown for the mayor race there. And she really has been operating as a rhino Republican for a long time. And that has been disingenuous to the people of Butler County in a lot of ways, very disrespectful. And she had this attitude about the race that she was entitled to it and didn't have to earn it, even so much so that she got herself in a lot of trouble at Miami University, getting involved and yelling at people who worked at an apartment complex where her granddaughter, I guess, was staying, was living at the time. And she felt she had power to her position and that she could throw it around to get benefits. And that's exactly the kind of people you don't want in politics. And Michael Ryan is such a fresh face, a genuinely good person. He went out and did all the right things you're supposed to do. I mean, he was very sincere, did good raising money, did good talking to all the people up and down the ticket, didn't get too crazy with anybody. He was very smart from the top to bottom. Went out and got some great endorsements and showed people that he was safe and they could invest in change with him. Change in that you get true conservative, a conservative caretaker of an important position, which is commissioner. And people were so unhappy with what they got out of Cindy Carpenter that when they found someone that they could invest in, like Michael Ryan presented, they jumped and went to him in an overwhelming margin. So much so that it's pretty embarrassing, actually. Cindy Carpenter didn't try to get the Republican endorsement because she had thrown it away over that Democrat mayor race by really being disingenuous towards the party. And when you're out there talking about party politics and people say, I don't like the two-party system and all that, when you're trying to deal with other people, you have to find a way to get a majority of 50 to your way of thinking. If you have 3 or 4 parties, you can't do that. So you got to find a way to get people over to your way of thinking and work with people who don't always agree with you. And so you really need two-party politics in order to sift out the noise of how to run a general society, because people are always going to differ over little things. I mean, people will argue over the shades of blue that there are, or whether concrete or asphalt's better, grass or astroturf. I mean, everybody has a preference, and you have to find a way, if you're going to get into a political office, to bring those people together and earn their respect enough to vote for you. So the two-party system does that. So when you have Republicans, you can't just cry that everybody's a rhino when they don't agree with you. You have to go out there and support people. You got to be courageous. And in this case, when Michael Ryan first announced a lot of people thought anybody who endorsed him was going to be crazy. And I certainly did. Nancy Nix certainly did early on. And as the time went on, he picked up major endorsements of really great people. I mean, Bernie Moreno did, Warren Davidson did. And you can tell a lot about how good a person is. And, I have to say, I really love Warren Davidson. Warren Davidson is a really good guy. Just because I was able to talk to him and his wife a little bit at the watch party that Michael Ryan had. And, everybody who was there, it was a very filled room. It was held at the premier shooting facility. Good place to have it. They have like a little speakeasy in the back. That was a wonderful place for this and these kinds of events. So it was a good night to watch Michael Ryan win. And it was great to talk to Warren Davidson. And just to say what a couple things we talked about, which I think are meaningful in this case. And when you have for a primary in May of 2026, when most people aren't thinking too much about politics, it is really good to see so many people, and the room was full at this venue, completely full. To get around it, you had to turn sideways to walk between people, and there was a lot of people to talk to. And it was good to catch up with everybody. I appreciated seeing them all. But specifically Warren Davidson, I just really like him. He's such a good person. And we had a nice talk about these political events, and he's been around long enough to know what politically savvy means. When you're playing at the level of congressional politics with a big district like he has, he knows how hard it is. And to run for a commissioner race in Butler County is a significant achievement. For Michael Ryan to do what he did was amazing, because so many people came out to watch him at the watch party, and he was good at going around mingling with everybody. But one thing you see is how much he stepped into the role, and it's just something that Warren Davidson noticed about over the last couple of years, how Michael Ryan has turned into a really good political figure that people can just like. You may not like every single thing that goes on, but Michael Ryan has a way of bridging those gaps and finding a way to at least get everybody to shake hands. And that's a political skill that, well, that's why he won by the large margin that he did. But the people that were speaking about Michael Ryan on this primary night and what they said about him when I initially supported him, when Nancy Nix came out at one of her fundraisers and announced that she was going to endorse him, took a lot of guts to do that at that time. Because then there was Nancy Nix's old friend of mine, Roger Reynolds, who wanted to get into that commissioner race. And even up to the last day, he was out there putting out signs for Cindy Carpenter, when Cindy Carpenter was considered a mortal enemy, a mortal political enemy towards those types of conservatives, Republicans in the party, for over a decade. And for Roger Reynolds, out of spite, just to be angry because he didn't play the game the way you're supposed to, let his hurt feelings take him down a bad place. And now he's aligned himself with Cindy Carpenter, and he's never going to be able to really work with that team again. And I hate to say that, I hate to see it, but if it wasn't evident leading up to this primary night, the show of force that Michael Ryan had against the incumbent Cindy Carpenter was daunting for anybody who thinks that traditional politics, you're putting out some signs. God only knows why Cindy Carpenter put out blue signs. Her signs weren't even red for Republican. They were blue for Democrat. And she thought she was going to sneak under the door, I guess. Maybe in the old days, not these days. One thing I noticed, and I'd say it's probably because Roger Reynolds and his dad, because Cindy Carpenter didn't really have any volunteers. She had no support. Nobody gave her any money. So a lot of it was funded by like one source. It was really just trying to give the appearance of mass. But on election day, on the primary election day, I went to several places, several voting places, and kind of to see what was going on, how everything was going. And early, 6:30 to 7 in the morning, I was a little surprised to see a lot of Cindy Carpenter signs out as people were walking into the building. And I guess they thought Cindy Carpenter's team, Roger Reynolds, those kinds of people, thought that they could slide into the door and look more important than they really were by putting out a whole lot of signs and wait until the day of the election and hope to rally some people to their cause. And I keep telling everybody, that slate card for the Republican Party is very important. That's what people know when it gets down. People go find my articles. Usually, there's a small percentage of the people who read me who love the politics. They love to read about Michael Ryan in the summer of 2025, when you still have a whole year before the primary and a whole lot of time before the general election. But they like to read the latest political stuff going on. Not many people are like that. Most people, and that is the case with my readers, I probably had thousands of hits over the last 24 hours of people's like, all right, I'm getting ready to vote. Who's this Michael Ryan guy? And then they find my 25, 30 different articles that I wrote and multiple videos I did like this. And they okay, I'm going to vote for Michael Ryan. Oh, he's on the Republican slate card. And boop, there you go. And that's how it works. And if you don't take care of those things, if you don't find a way to get the party endorsement, you have to work with a lot of people to get that party endorsement. And if you don't get it, you're really being disingenuous to how voters think. And they want to know that you at least were vetted enough to get on the team. And then they might think about you. But if you check all the boxes and you do the good media stuff and you go around, you do all the events you're supposed to do, and you show up enthusiastic every single time, and then you do the hard ground game and you get supporters to rally to your cause. And when people steal your signs, there's an army of people that go out and put new signs out, and they keep it that way. They keep it nice and fresh right up to election day. And Cindy Carpenter couldn't do that. She thought she could win it without the party. She thought she could do it by giving people the middle finger, and she thought she could campaign for Democrats, and she was untouchable. And she found out otherwise, and she lost badly. Michael Ryan is going to be the next Butler County Commissioner. And the hardest race of it was one we just had in the May primary of 2026. And I'm proud of him. And I think it should be a lesson to everybody who wants to be involved in politics. There's a way to go about it. And the traditional games don't work like they used to. You can't win a few reporters at your local newspaper over to your way of thinking and just scoot through these elections. You got to do the hard work, and you actually have to be a good person. And that's why I voted for Michael Ryan. That's why I support him early on. I've known him for years prior to this, and he's been working towards this moment for a good portion of his life. And you can see it in his eyes when you talk to him. He really wants this. And then going back to my conversation with Warren Davidson, Congressman Warren Davidson, a really good person. And it's hard to be a really good person in politics, but Warren Davidson's figured it out. And he and I were really admiring how good of a political figure Michael Ryan has become. And I'm proud of him. I know he's proud of him. I know Nancy Nix is proud of him. George Lang, a whole lot of people. Thomas Hall was there. A lot of people were supportive. Ben Wynn was there. My good friend Darby Bodie was there. There's a lot of good people there to support Michael Ryan. And it was nice seeing everybody. It was nice for everybody to get together on a very festive night when good things came together for good reasons and for a future that has a lot of ambition and hope in it. And Michael Ryan and his very nice wife and a lot of members of the Republican Party have a lot to be happy about because of this election. And there'll be a lot more good stuff to come. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening.
In the age of disclosure, you must understand the politics of heaven. Coming soon.